Right. And where'd you go to college?
Went to college 50 miles away in Binghamton. Harper College at the time it was called, yeah. So
SUNY Binghamton was Harper College.
SUNY Binghamton was Harper College.
And what was the relationship with food? Because I think about my family and how it's unusual it was when I think back now.
Yeah. Well, my mother is a great baker. So Irish mother, Mary, and German father, Harry. And he grew up in a Germanic household, and so meat and potatoes were, was the basics.
That's how you grew up?
Well, yeah, until...
Did you rebel?
I rebelled. Surprise, surprise, in the 60s.
Yeah, right. How many siblings did you have?
Two, an older sister and a younger sister. Yeah, I was in the middle, the boy in the middle. Yeah. But getting back to food, it was really my mother's Irish recipes and highlighted also on Sunday evenings, every Sunday, by my father's German potato pancakes.
Right. And then,
yeah.
So was it sitting down at a table and having a very conscious meal?
Oh, yeah, very conscious.
A well-paced meal? Or was everybody bolting their food like my house?
No, we sat and we ate and etc.
Relaxed.
There's always dessert. It was every evening was, customary basically. However, I do remember, as life got a little busier, that there was also the beginning of the TV dinner era. So,
was there a little bit of that?
Yeah, I experienced that too.
So when you were growing up and living this way, when did you change your consciousness about what you wanted to eat and didn't want to eat?
Well, college. So I went to Harper College in 1968, and in the pretty fiery year, right after the Democratic Convention that year. I remember, being shocked watching that. Then here I am in initiation week in introduction to college and being away from home, and the SDS, the local SDS chapter at my university, took over the administration building.
Students for a Democratic Society.
That's who it was. Took over, and I was, had no idea of what this was or what was happening. So I mentioned that because my entire consciousness and probably the consciousness of the country changed as well.
Yeah, a lot of questioning of everything that was establishment.
Everything. Absolutely everything.
And how did that play into your eating habits? Were you vegetarian?
Yeah, and do you know of the Moosewood cookbooks? It's a restaurant in Ithaca that started right at that time, and it was the first sort of vegetarian outburst really at that time, and so it was a cooperative, etc. And so that had tremendous influence, and also I remember when I left, it may have been the year I left college. Francis Moore Lappé had written Diet for a Small Planet, which sold millions of copies and still does, as a matter of fact. And that's what I took when I went out into the world to, learn about my own style of cooking and eating, etc.
And where did you go to begin that process?
Everywhere. Traveling. It was a traveling. I traveled, yeah. With a little Volkswagen Bug, and it's predictable,
of course.
Right? Everywhere.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
When did you first go overseas? Did you go overseas before?
Probably during college sometime in the middle of college.
Where'd you go?
Switzerland, France.
And what struck you when you were over there?
What was happening then for me in the traveling was opening to a new world, basically, because all I knew was the United States, so...
I just think about it in terms of for someone who later on goes on to spend a huge part of their adult life growing food.
Yeah.
Your life was about food and agriculture.
Yeah.
So your relationship to those things was just very ordinary then.
I really entered into consciously growing food in England when I moved to England. So this didn't come...
Why did you move there?
To get a graduate degree in literature.
Oxford.
So, I lived in Oxford for a couple of years, but I actually was studying through an American university, Antioch College, which had a Center for British Studies in London, and the fellow who headed the program was studying for a DPhil in Oxford, and so I said, I like the idea of spending time in Oxford, and I went back and forth to London, got a job as a gardener.
And that was the beginning?
A job as a gardener, and that was the beginning.
Did you seek that job, or that was the only job fit in?
I think it was a local paper, and I had I was living in a bedsit. It's called one room little, not an apartment, just a room in Oxford. It cost £7 a week, and I didn't have any money, so I got a job as a gardener for £1 an hour.
And what happened when you did that job?
It really led to, my love of the earth. And I worked with gardeners up in a really beautiful place called Boars Hill outside.